And all this comes on the eve of presidential debate number 2. So Trump should be prepared for the inevitable gotcha fallacious question linking so-called man-made climate change to this naturally occurring event. But what will be the long-lasting after effect of this storm on the November 8 election? Joining me now from Tampa, Florida, founder and CEO of Rotella Legal Group, Brian Rotella. Brian, you're on the west coast of Florida in Tampa right there, a safe distance away. I'll put safe in air quotes, but I would imagine you're feeling some of the side effects of the storm.
Absolutely, Graham. And first and foremost, our thoughts here at Rotella Legal Group, and I'm sure with the whole One America family, goes out to everybody who's been affected, particularly the folks in Haiti. That has been an absolute disaster. I will tell you, here in Tampa on the Gulf Coast, it's been windy. We've had some rain. But what's been really something that I've been monitoring in my role as general counsel to several nursing homes and assisted living facilities, Graham, is that how are the folks that are elderly and the folks that are most at risk handling a storm like this in Florida? I'm glad to say, from my perspective, with my clients and my customers, they're doing great. One thing that it gets political, and it's been in the news the last couple of days, is the fact that Secretary Clinton made a purchase, or apparently made a purchase, to buy some ad time on the Weather Channel.
Right.
You've been at a nursing home or an assisted living facility, or candidly, my 85-year-old mother-in-law's house recently. The Weather Channel's on all the time. And these folks are monitoring the weather here. It's a serious issue. And to politicize it like that, gosh, you know, it just seems like she took it over the line.
But she canceled the ad buy, correct?
She did cancel it, but just by virtue of doing that, again, for somebody that spends a lot of time in nursing homes and assisted living facilities, these folks were wondering how they're going to get through the night with all their health care issues. The last thing they wanted to hear about was that.
And of course, campaign events have been canceled. When we look at this storm through an electoral prism, also there was a request by the Clinton campaign to delay the deadline for people registering to vote, and the governor said no, forget about it. And, you know, I tend to agree with that. Hey, a deadline is a deadline, and these things happen. If you're waiting till the last minute to register to vote, I think that's problematic to begin with. But when you talk about Hillary Clinton and trying to make hay of this natural disaster, we know that she's capable of doing so. We've seen it before. We've heard it before. Here she is. Roll tape.
People will lose their homes or their businesses that took a lifetime to build. Doesn't matter to him. When it comes to protecting our country against natural disasters and the threat of climate change, once again, Donald Trump is totally unfit and unqualified to be our president.
It's as if, Brian, that there's never been a hurricane prior to the Industrial Revolution. It's as if the hurricanes are occurring because of my SUV and whatever vehicle you drive. But when you look, again, through an electoral lens, what this storm does is it knocks Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and Marco Rubio et al. Off the headlines for a while, at least in Florida. And Florida, of course, is a crucial state. If you look at the latest polling, the latest 9 out of 10 polls in Florida show Hillary trending in a positive direction. So in a sense, this could be an opportunity for Donald Trump to stem that tide, if you will.
Absolutely, Grant. And one thing I found interesting there is you listen to your clips. Something when I think that Mr. Trump is at his best is when Mr. Trump says, I haven't been in this game of politics except for the last 16 or so months. One thing that Hillary Clinton and candidly even our senator here in Florida, Marco Rubio, are, they're attorneys. Yeah. I'm a lawyer. Yeah. I don't really like lawyers. I pride myself on our law firm being a tagline lawyer differently. And I just listening to that clip shows that Senator Rubio is at his best when he's talking like Mr. Trump, which is really not talking like a lawyer and concerned about folks. That clip that you played of Secretary Clinton, and as you very eloquently put it, Graham, trying to in some way connect climate change to, oh my goodness, rainstorms and hurricanes coming to Florida. I've lived in Florida for over 11 years. We're pretty used to storms here.
And I think if Marco Rubio, during this ordeal, just acts senatorial, I think he'll come out on top and probably prevail in the November 8 election, which was headed that way anyway. But when you look at one other thing that's going to be disrupted from this storm, at least on the eastern portion of Florida, and that is mail. And this could be a very real problem in terms of absentee ballots and, you know, what kind of damage is going to be done to mail service on that area of Florida. And I can just see it, speaking of attorneys, no offense, but I can just see it. This is tantamount to a dangling Chad in the 2000 election. They're going to say, hey, we're going to have to wait. If it's a close election in Florida, which it could be, we're going to have to wait until we get these ballots turned in, and we're going to have to push the deadline. I can just hear it right now.
I still have post-traumatic stress. Most of us do, Graham, from 2000 and the dangling Chads. And let me tell you, it started today with the back and forth in the middle of a storm where our folks are just worried about whether the shutters stay up, where they're fighting back against our governor here, Governor Scott, in the fact that he won't extend the deadline to register to vote. Now, let me tell you something. Here in Florida, we've been watching ads. We have been immersed in this election for well over a year. Extending this by 5 days or a week is not necessary at this time. I couldn't agree more with Governor Scott. And going back to lawyers, it looks like Secretary Clinton and her folks setting a trap that because Governor Scott didn't extend the deadline till the end of next week, not enough people got registered at the 11th hour to be able to vote.
Yeah, and if I were Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I would stay out of Florida. And obviously, there is going to be an urge to go down there and tour the devastation, but that's not what the people are going to need as they're picking up the pieces and rebuilding. Now, possibly you can make an argument of visiting areas of Florida that weren't hammered by the storm, but I think in large part it'd be smart if both of them just stay away. Brian, thanks.